Now, okay, 32 minutes past 8 o'clock in the United Kingdom. We are on summertime. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Kassim Kayira, and welcome back to a very beautiful global community conversation. Come, let's talk with Kassim Kayira. Tonight, we are talking about getting lost or being lost. And this can have very serious implications. There are many people who have been embarking on adventures, going into different places, trying to see the world. Or maybe you're just caught up in a situation and you just end up there without knowing how you ended up there. I would like to hear your stories and tales regarding getting lost. But also, very importantly, what should you do in case you get lost? We have children. Many of us have children. We have seen lots of lists of missing people. And quite often, the point is they are trying to be reunited with their families. Unfortunately, especially in the case of children, there have been several instances where these children are unable to be identified because all they know is daddy and mommy, and they do not know their names. Imagine a situation where you've gone shopping. It might sound, probably if I talk about the woodlands or the forests, it might seem a bit, away from you. Imagining that probably you are not in that situation, but you've gone shopping. You are in Westfield, you are in Kampala, a very busy place, or Widow Market, you are in Nakasero. Your daughter or son disappears from you. Maybe someone is just knocked to you. Maybe you are checking tomatoes. Maybe you are picking the right potatoes. And as you stand up to turn, you do not find your child. Panic comes. Starting to ask about where your son or daughter has gone. Maybe you are calling out their name, but it's too loud and you cannot get to them. If this child doesn't know your name, it might be a much more difficult process of having to do the search. Have you trained your children to know what to do in case they get lost? Or even as an adult, if you get lost, what do you do? What if you get lost in a place? It might not necessarily be a bush or a forest. It might be even in an urban setting, but you're in a place where you do not know the language. How do you communicate? How do you try to find yourself after being lost? I'm sure you'll have lots of stories to narrate on this. And as usual, I always set the pace by providing my own personal experiences. But since we've got a person who is far away, all the way in the Haramain Sharifain in Madinatul Munawwara, why not go to him tomorrow kuwulira atugulire emboozi maybe enaatuyamba okusobola okuba nti tuyigira mu conversation eyo. This program is about your stories. It's about your experiences. All of us are experts in our own fields because it is through our experiences that we are able to find solutions to particular problems. Because there's a time now I went out, I'm about to get married to my fiancée. We are trying to show off. We decide to take a walk and we go onto a very famous rock in Tororo. And we are trying to look for the direction to look to Busia. For nearly an hour and a half, we are lost because we had climbed and we didn't have any idea. We could see because we are at the top, we can see the city down, we can see, but we are trying to find our bearings and we couldn't. Worse still, we are in Bali. We go to Sipi Falls. Now, in if you are not careful and you find yourself in this place, you could easily become dinner on someone's table or plate. We end up there, it's beginning to get late. We do not have phones. Mobile phones were a new thing. In fact, all mobile phones in Uganda at that time were called cell-tel. Worse, if spoken in Runyankore, Surter. There were few people who had phones and they were very, very expensive. They were actually an exclusive number of people, mainly ministers, permanent secretaries. But here we are. The sun is beginning to set. We are stuck in the middle of that trekking area. CP Falls, actually, when you look at the falls, you just think it's a straightforward thing. No, you would walk. By the time you reach the actual falls, it's a long time. We are stuck in an area where we have been clearly advised there are cannibals. And the kind of panic that sets in your mind at that time, I think you can imagine. But let me take you out of there. Probably you have never been there. You have gone and you've driven miles and miles and you're going into the wrong direction. Now you can't find your bearings anymore. How do you start retracing probably your way back? Because if it's at night, if it's probably snowing, if it is raining, there are all those factors that come into play that complicate a situation. Where you are, you do not understand. The last story that happened that was really, really, scary is I'm in Nyungwe Forest. This Nyungwe Forest combines three countries. It combines Rwanda, combines Uganda, it combines the Democratic Republic of Congo. So it's the Muhabura Mountains. Any slight mistake, you've crossed into the border of another country, you could fall into poachers. There are many poachers who are always looking for chimpanzees and gorillas, hunting for them. There are rangers who are looking for these poachers. Anytime you're found in a place where you are not expected, especially if you've entered from a different location, it could be different. I want you to place yourself in that place and imagine in case you get lost. How do you get yourself out? In fact, probably that should go even into the kind of preparations that you make before you embark on any journey. Buli lw'oba nti ogenda kutambula waliwo ebintu ebiri essential. Power bank nowadays because of the phone, just in case you run out. But you might get in a very cold place where a power bank yennyini empewo egiyitirako neezikira. Just like you might be in a very hot place where even your phone actually, hot temperature neekulagira switch off. It is just very dangerous to even hold the phone. Esimu zino nazo ejahannama ndala in a way that you might not know. But life essentials are, I'm just going for a walk, but there are particular things that should never miss. And I'm starting with where the program should have naturally ended, but I'm starting there to set the pace so that in case we get excited with the stories that we hear later on, we do not lose focus on what could happen. In the case of Genda Kusimbula, at least have some form of ID on you, some form. Driver's license, bank card, blah, blah, something that might actually just provide a little bit of a focus of attention in case you have to be looked for. 2, have an emergency contact. Buli oba ogenda mu bintu nga bino ugira safari, olwa ogenda mu safari oza bintu bya biri no ngenda kulinnya nnyonyi ngenda Kampala, why do I need the emergency contact person, blah, blah. Ennyonyi otuuka n'obeera stranded. Ennyonyi oyinza okutuuka ne baba diverting. Ennyonyi oyinza okutuuka ne babawamba. While on the plane mujja kuba balina list y'abatambuze abali ku nnyonyi. There might be situations that, in the circumstances, there is complications. What some people are taken, some people are released, and some people are still living. There is all of this. So some form of ID is really, really necessary. Obengo Gina with you as a safeguard to help you in case ogenda mumbera ezokutambula, because this comes in quite handy in case that time comes where you need to have they are either going to be tracing for you or looking for you. In the case of children, also have some money on you. It's very, very essential. If you are lost, the only thing that is going to save you is money. Not money in terms of paying your way, like sort of buying something, but there is buying your own life. In a country like the Democratic Republic of Congo, right now, it's one of the kidnap capitals of the world. Many militias just kidnap people for ransom. If you don't have money, ofukira ddala ekizibu obanga enjala ya Ramadani eruma omwavu n'omugagga tebaluma kyekimu. Enjala eruma omwavu ekuluma emanyi toyina ky'oyina. Eruma omugagga emuluma emanyi singa emuluma nnyo ayinza okufuna excuse n'asiibulukuka. naye gwe omugagga omwavu enjala ekuluma emanyi toyina gy'olaga. It is one place. Have some little money, but don't have that money necessarily exposed. Abamu kye tukola naddala ku basajja wano ekigundi ky'omusipi kino wekitambulira kino abaali abagezigezi Haji Kassim nkakasa amagezi ago tekuba nti waliwo gamanyi bweramwako ebbombo abo omukondoolo omusipi guno we gutambulira inside that belt area, si ku musipi wabula that area where you actually the belt line munda wennyini salangawo n'akajjirita obeeko akasente ko kozinga mu Luswayiri bakayita kitanifa kiri nyamba kasonsekeyo okayingizeeyo. Ababbi ne bebajja ne bababba batya, even if they take away as much of the things that you have, you're going to remain with that last card, which can be a lifesaver at a certain point. So have some little money hidden away, tucked away. It could be the difference between life and death. Importantly, manyizo omubiri gwe okulya ebintu ebisoboka. And I'm saying this with a lot of concern. Bannayuganda naddala Abaganda, ntandika bannayuganda naye Abaganda bali mu akajanja akalimitinga kind of diet. Omuganda katanalaba ku ttooke, wherever they go before they see matooke teguba mukolo aba akyabuuza emmere nga tennajja, ng'olupiraawo waali abuuza emmere nga tennajja because ettooke terinaba kulabikawo. Widen the scope of what you can eat. There are people who die because atuuse mu circumstances nga watuuse tasobola kulya. Congo again comes to mind. Balina emmessage bafumbira mu kinyeebwa empitirivu. Naye ng'oyinza ogenda okutuuka mu kwennyala kwaffe okw'Obuganda and you fail because you see that that's the only thing that is there. Oba enkima ng'eryawo makaku eri wali it's what is available. You fail to eat and you die. So widen the scope of your diet. The wider your diet is, the better. And wideness, etegeeza, go into vegetables. We come into these countries, what we abasinga gye twakulira, watermelons are a new phenomenon in Uganda. N'abagagga temutulimba mwaye temulaba. Watermelons are very new in Uganda. They are not even like 20, 30 years old in Uganda. Watermelons okutandika okujja mu site, mpozi abashoppinganga enakasemu. Watermelons were totally a new phenomenon. In fact, 30 years teziwera mu Uganda is a watermelons. So, ebintu ebisinga bizze, adopt yourself to these things. Because what it means is we now ojja okutuuka ng'okirya si lwa kwagala, but you are eating to survive. There are things. Mvako. That is a disclaimer. No comment. Have those survival skills that if you have that, you are able to surviving embeera yonna bw'ebezze. Abaganda waliwo limitation y'okulya omuntu n'atandika okweronzalonza mu kulya. Nga bwe walya obukuppa, nga bwe walya amakongo, tandika okugaziya the scope of your menu. Otuuke France ng'ojja kulya ennyama y'embalaasi without okwekanga, ng'ojja kusobola okulya snails, ekkovu eryo, olya essavu ng'osokoola from bajja kujja bazikuyitira muscle, nti olya muscles naye nga n'ekkovu oliriddemu. The wider your menu is, the safer you are. And I've brought these just simply because I want us to open into the conversation, but have these things in mind. Ogenda okutambula at least beera mukwako. Importantly also, mu byokola byonna yambala a clean underwear or underwear that can sustain situations. Oyinza okugenda n'otuuka Allah n'akuleetera ajjali n'oba nti you are getting lost, oba otuuse babatutte mu mabira. In Uganda it happens a lot. Ababbi bakwata abantu ne batwala mu mabira ne babambula ne babaleka mu kintu kimu kyokka kyokka underwear nga kye bakuyambyeko kyokka. Mungu n'agenda akuvaamu ng'akaandaweya k'oyambadde kali ku tahiyatu al mubarakaatu kali kaggwa ke kasigaddeko. Imagine, because now nekibadde kisigadde nga kikushioninze, that would disappear. So importantly, as you are putting in, bw'oba osobodde, balina bye bakayita Uganda kyempulira kye bakozesa ekigambo ekyo, bino skin tights, yambala ako waakiri oba empale oba underwear tesobose. And that applies for both men and women. Have that as a backup. it might be the last thing. It is important. If you're going to move, if you're going to go on a journey, whatever, think through that. Singa Mungu akugerera nomala ennaku 3 nga mu circumstances z'olimu tolina woyinza kwoleza akawale kano mu mbeera eno gy'olimu kayinza okuba nga kakyaliwo. So white might not be the best color ey'okutambuliramu ng'ogenda safari, you're going around, whatever. White might not be the best color just in case you get stuck. Oyinza ogenda okutuuka ne babatuuza mu kitoogo, ekitoogo kiwunyira obuwunyizi ng'okiraba kakirowooze ng'okituuzizzaamu ekigambo. Imagine that. These are very, very important points. The thing is, if you have ever got lost, the moment you find yourself no soro hudda, promising Allah, Dia Allah bonzija muchino, sidi dalinda banzizem. The story that I want to bring before I bring Sheikh Ntale in, we are in the Democratic Republic of Congo, circa 1998. Kinshasa has just been captured. Kabila has turned against the Rwandan forces and Ugandan forces who took him into power, but it was the Rwandan forces that were in Kinshasa. I was there as a reporter. But I remember this called Njiri, Tuduka, Okuva, Matadi, Kalemi. Kalemi and the East. When Inga Dam, in Kitona, but and so Mukasukam Maziwa, Mukasukam Bitogo, and all of that. We started fleeing. We are journalists, but at that time it doesn't matter. We ended up walking for 400 miles. We went to Gamba, but sometimes they might take it. 400 miles on foot. And Mukutambura, this trip took us to Angola. We crossed from Angola, helped by the Savimbis, Jonas Savimbi's rebel fighters, UNITA rebels, Nebatuwerekera, Nebatuza Mukongo, the other side. We walked and ended up, before we knew where we were, we had crossed into Zambia. And that's where we got arrested. And when we were arrested, Nebatware Lusaka, the journalist, the cameraman, that cameraman is dead now. He was called Jean-Pierre Sagahutu. Nebatwara for journalists, Nebatwara mu hotel, then abasirikale Nebatwara mu barracks. President came to make a visit. Mu visit gye okora mu mwayitira akavuyo ngeno president ali mu kukyala bamutadde ku luncheon eri abaana bali mu kubayingiza mu nnyonyi. President came with a big jet n'efezaayo abaana abali abajasi. When we got lost, natuuka nga bearing zibuze ate nga ku bajasi babeera ne campus baba bamanyire. When you are in a panic mode oyina kugoba essasi livuga, everyone sort of lost. For about 2 days we were lost. Nga tukyenonya bwenoonya ogenda okuyiyayiya kutandika okuestablishing a communication, because these guys had also interrupted with the walkie talkies. Kati ng'ogenda ku kyombo oli abeeko communication gyaweereza bajja kumanya we muli. It was just one of those difficult situations. Ebigere byange byazimba nga ninga alwadde enjovu. Omusirikale n'awodalinga baweeke Kayira. Omusirikale akutte AK-47 mu kifuba and balina okumpeeka empalo. Size yayita ndaba kuba nnene nnyo naye sibangako mutono. Someone carrying you over 2 miles. But you do not have a choice, because if they were, then you're lost. Now I imagine in that situation, if I was alone and not part of a group, what actually could have transpired. Let us hear your stories. The program is Come, Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We are live on 75W Radio. We are live on Ummah Connected, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom. Sheikh Ntale, all the way in Madinatul Munawwara, I welcome you. Sebo, tusaba otubulire kubura wali obuzeeko gwe before we actually go into those people who get lost gye babulireeyo mu malungu. Sheikh Ntale,
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okubula, first of all, so kumbulire impression kijje wafunye kirowoozo kye kyakujjidde mu mutwe.
Badde sinafuna nnyo impression naye ndabye akavidiyo ngo kakwatidde mu kibira. Naba mukadde wange ekibira ye kyabaze.
Naam.
Naye ze gwe baali basuddeko mu ddungu for a couple of minutes nafuna okutya ku muntu gwe basuulamu oba asuulibwamu either by circumstances oba nga bamusuddemu nga bagenderedde for days oba hours, days or months. Engeri gy'osoose okumbuuza nsonga nkulu nnyo, saba Allah ateeke baraka mu gundi ikhtiyari oba mu choice ya topics. Barakallahu fikum. Yadde oluusi ffenna obudde oluusi butukwatakwata n'ojjako wano oluusi n'otajja naye nga I remember either yali mu 2017 oba 2018 nali nyina ekitundu kiri 100 kilometers okuva e Madina bakiyita Sukhaibira. Baali nga tebalina imaamu ne bampita ngende mbayambeko basaza mu Ramadan. Kaseera Ramadan ebyo ebiseera yali ebeera ya sama oba yali ya sama oli yennyini ow'eddungu kwegamba bala gundi nga ana kubanga embeera mu ddungu eyo nga oba onaafuna wuzu ku dhuhuri kubanga twebaka obimanye ebya Ramadan twebaka ku makya nga amazzi go okugenda okukozesa okusitanja olina okusula nago olina okwebaka nago mu nnyumba bwe kakutanda ne weesigulira ku mazzi ga tanka eri ku toyireti y'omuzikiti mathalan kati imaamu gwe bakyaziza obukyazi osula ku muzikiti ovaayo nga balina kusiba ofuna bulungi awo amazzi gaba gookya kati obutagenda nnyo mu details ezo navaayoko eyo mu ddungu n'enzira e Madiina nga nyina ensonga ezinzizaayo wangi
sorry mbadde n'emyutinze nze mbadde nga nti detail y'emboozi teweeganya kugenda mu detail kubanga ti detail is oyinza okusanga nga ekinyusi mwe kiri.
Okay, yeah, ensonga eyo nti njagadde kulaga ekifo kyali kiri wala nnyo because n'amazzi baagaleeteranga mu water tanks nga tewaliwo gaakale ne Makka waliwo ebifo nga naddala ebyensozi amazzi gali babagaleetera mu bimotoka naye ekifo kyali wala okumanya kyali wala olw'okuba nti bawarabu be basinga okuwangalira nga teri saaluuni enviiri zaffe za Afirika oluusi ze tusalaasala buli wiikisi 2-3 ezo nga olina kulinda odde mu kibuga ogenda osala enviiri kugamba mufunze embeera ekituufu yo details ezimu zeetaagisa kuba kati ogwo omusana gwenjogeddeko ogukususa n'amazzi gw'onaafunisa wuzu enkya ogwo nafuluma ekibuga ekyo ngende Madiina kati mukomawo olw'okuba abawarabu balina enkola yaabwe kati ne wala muwarabu munne simanyi oba n'abazungu oyo bwe batyo bali akuyitako buyisi bw'ati naye ne mu Uganda nakyo olw'okuba nti lwakuba tulina public transport waffe mungi nnyo ekisusse naye abawarabu osobola okuyimirira ku kkubo for 2 hours 3 hours 4 hours 5 hours nga teri ayimiridde kubuuza nti obadde olagako wa
nga teri ayimiridde kubuuza ng'otazeeyo omukono oba nga olaze budazi nti olina obwetaavu mu kuyimirirawo
ng'otaddeyo omukono n'akuyitako buyisi pozi ng'olina ndowooza okuggyako pozi ng'otaddewo mbeera owandiise bakayita lavito ng'owandiise akapande like maybe naye kati nayimirira ku petrol station emu eyawula ekkubo erigenda Riyadh noliva Madiina liridda Riyadh kati ngaze branching off ngende ku kkubo ekkubo eryo lyayitwala nga liyita mu bwalo yalo paka Taif ave Taif awo n'alyoka atuuka e Makka ebibuga ebyosaba Allah bannaffe abatatuukangayo eno abaleete at least Makka ne Madiina era eyo teba at least at least ndowooza yandibadde Riyadh naye oba ojja Makka ne Madiina oba ofunye at most saba Allah akkirize kati lwaki njogera ekkubo eryo gye litwala nti nagezaako okuyimiriza emmotoka petrol station nali safe ku petrol station though nawo waali wazibu nti akaseera kaali ka musana ate nga ka desert storms kati mu mbeera yonna nga atiisto olina okuba n'ekitambaala ekibikka ennyindo obutafuna oluusi ne oba tubadde na birwadde bisobola okujjirawo byobadde tomanyi nayimirira akaseera si kawanvu saasobola kufuna mu Saudi like citizen antwalako naye nfuna omusajja yali mu Syria ng'avuga wano bayita berisimu mmere ya gundi y'eŋŋamiya simanyi mubiyita mukya blocks ezo
Animal feeds.
Animal feeds.
Yes.
Naye nga ezo eza blocks omuddo gwe basiba mu blocks.
Mineral salts. Oh,
Yeah.
hay. Is that hay?
Yeah.
Bells. Hay bells.
Aha.
Yes, sir.
Yali avuga kimotoka nga babitaddeko nga musajja wattu agenda Taif. Ne mukuwa omukono ngamba kiki musiraamu ne mugaa ati ekituufu ŋŋenda mu kifo bakiyita Sukhaibira okumpi n'akafu bakayita Hisu. Nangamba jangu nkutwale naye nze sigenda genda eyo. Nyinawe ŋŋenda kusuula ku junction oba Abawarabu bagiyita mafrag tariq. Ŋŋenda kusuula ku mafrag we neeyongereyo bali bakukima awo. Kati eyo pulaani bwetyo bwe yali ng'obviously mu kusimbulawo nalina okukuba essimu nkubira abeeri nti bannange munkime ntandise olugendo. Wallahi olwatuuka kaifa haalukum muli mutya biki nga vaawa emboozi n'ekwajja ne kugabaga ati emboozi n'egenda mu maaso nagenda okujjukira nti nkuba essimu nga tunaatera okutuuka mu kifo alina okunsuula. Yes, nyinza okuba najjukira kubanga ekituufu nagezaako okubisa essimu yange naye nalina netiwaaka nga nnafu. Netiwaaka yange gye nali kozesa essimu gye nnyina eya mobayiri kugamba omukutu gwe ndiko nga ate mu ddungu abasinga bali ku STC kubanga eya gavumenti ye erina coverage nneneko. Nagezangako naye ng'omusajja simugamba nnyina essuubi nti maybe egenda kuddamu ekole ki ekwate. Byonna gye byaggweera omusajja ngamba yii lwobudda lwaki toyogera nti tolina network. Nanga naye nze naatera okukusuula wali wennyina okukusuula wabula kambakubire oyogere nabo. N'abakubira n'abagamba nti ono munnammwe wuuno wano ŋŋenda musuula wano mujje mu mukimi. Aga obudde lwaki tannayogera obudde bw'okusibuluka kumpi butuuse. Buli omu ali ku bibye kati awo okufuna anyway we twatuuka yatuuka n'ansuula awo ku mafraga oba ku junction n'angamba ekituufu si kyalina kyenyinza kuyamba kirala tanneeyongereyo wabula genda waliwo wali akashedi mu junctions ezimu bazimbawo obushedi nga babutaddeko nsansa ez'emitende. Teba shedi nti nnungi wabula just bateeka buteesi omuntu w'asobola okukyama n'asaalirako ne yeeyongerayo n'omusaalo gwo gw'oba otambudde nagwo mu mmotoka. Bwe yansuula saalwawo temugaa nti naye wabula nali nsomanga aya eziri mu Surati al-Baqara ne Maida n'endala ezikwatagana n'omuntu man yatturra fi makhmasatin ng'ali mu kaseera akazibu ak'enjala etaliiko kyayinza kulya kirala. Kubanga ekituufu omusajja we yansuula waaliwo nga siina nnyumba gye ndaba first of all. Ekyokubiri nga siina muti gwe ndaba okuggyako bishirabs by'omu ddungu. Nga ne oyagala kigaayo nga asenya amannyo kyekiyinza okuyamba kyokka. Naye nga nabyo era ogenda obiraba nga bizibuzibu.
Ebuwarabu bakuba enduulu.
Ati kati enduulu wandibadde ogikuba naye ogikubira ani?
Ofaga kuba wayinza okuba eddungu etambula egenda mu maaso sewoyagadde.
Ekituufu yansuula ekirungi kati nali privileged alhamdulillah nti we yansuula lyali kkubo. Naye ngezaako okkuba emmotoka gundi emikono naye nga tewali ayamba. Kirungi nali nyambadde ekkanzu enkofiira naye akaseera ako ke namalawo eddakiika entono etaawera ssaawa nakubamu kubanga nzijukira nalengerako omulambo gw'eŋŋamiya egende skeleton etandika okweraga ne manya nti kati omuntu kituufu waliwo w'otuuka singa nti wabaddeewo kkubo nga bansudde busuuzi mu kifo kye mbadde suubira kubanga era oli yali akyali era omuntu eyanzijawo yali either mu Pakistan abo bayindiyindi abo oba mu Afghanistan era naye yali avuga kimotoka ky'amazzi yaŋŋamba nkutunuulidde bwe nti ng'oli kukubona eŋŋamba omusajja otayiza kubeera muntu mubi n'agamba ekizibu kye tulina wano osobola okuyimira waliwo omuntu asobola okuyimirira kukubo naye ng'anoonya byabba naddala ffe abagwira akuteeka mu mbeera ng'alaba tolina nnyo kyogenda mumukola ng'ensi Abawarabu bakyalimu ebintu ebyo yadde obubbi si bungi obubbi tebuliimu nnyo naye mwebiri tetuyinza kugamba kubanga omulembe gwa nabbi aya ezitema omukono gw'omubbi we zakkira n'abeerako ne byeyatema emikono so ekiba nga kyaliwo ku mulembe gwa nabbi then ne kuno ogwaffe si kyekizibu ekiri awo ekitasoboka kubeerawo n'antwala n'antuusa mu kitundu ekyo ne bakubira essimu ne baga nzija wabula kyenjagaddemu nti waliwo ebintu ebimuluusi ng'obadde tokitunuulirangako nga kimala kutuukako n'otandika okulowooza nti nkole ntya kubanga kyobadde yogerako kyennyini netiwaaka nali siina nga siina kubanga ne we zandibadde ssente nga tebwe zirina we zigenda kunnyambira poza okuzigaaya obugaaya ng'empapula nga siina kentambudde nako nti oba kyakulya kyakunywa kwaze nali ntambudde byange nga ndowooza everything is okay kati nga n'ekitundu kyendimu nyina contacts naye nga ziyinza obutanyamba mu kaseera ako kubanga buli ampitako agamba onfiriko ono kikyanoonya wano yazze atya okubeera wano tabanga
maybe okwagala allowing other people to join into the conversation lesson ki gye wajjamu wano mweno experience in particular given kyetubaye twogeddeko in terms of preparedness in terms of embeera z'abantu n'okumanya ne gy'olaga lesson ki gy'oyinza okugaa nti gye wajjamu ku lulwo as a person
lesson gye nnyinza okugaa nti esookera ddala kwe kwalatinga gy'olaga nti ndi mu kkubo nzija kubanga ekyandeetera okunsuula mu ddungu kwali kuba nti saakola alert sanotifyinga bali be nali ŋŋendako nti ndi mu kkubo at least singa nali sifunye communication eddako bandyebuuza nti omusajja ono wawe kiki ekyatuuseewo ekyokubiri ne bwe kaba katono katya at least beerako ne kootandikirako gy'otera okuyita last card nti kati ngedde omunoga nti tambuddemu ne kasooli wange okwawe ojja kutambula n'amenvugo gavunda manvu atalukutambulira naye beerako nekyotambula nakyo ekyokusatu ekyengo ekyoyogedde Omufghanistan omupakistan eyanonda ku kkubo yasinziira ku nyambala gye nali nyambadde n'agamba musajja ntayinza kuba nti muyaayeyaye appearance yange yali gamba biyinza obutakola buli wamu naye at least njagala olw'okuba osabye lessons eza scenario eyo nti mba kubanga nyambadde ebintu ebitategeereka maybe handigambye ono alabika okuba omu ku bayaaye baawano ekyali zibuwaddemu naye yaŋŋamba nti nkulabye ng'oyinza obutabeera muntu mubi ne ŋŋamba bisimillah kamale gakutwala so oluusi appearance yo ekyengoye nga okyogeddeko entanda gye weesibiridde mu maybe ebyokulya oziba ssente mu bifo ebimu then ne communication okufuba okulaba nga kubanga ogwo omusana nga ogambye waliwo omusana gw'oyinza okubeera mu essimu ng'ekugamba jjako wano muhijja kyabaddewo abantu nga balina amasimu gaabwe naye ng'essimu zibagamba nti togikozesa naddala ndowooza iphone ezo zemukwata ze zirina olugezigezi olusinga
happens a lot otuuka nekugambirawo
kati eyo ensonga oba eyo issue nembeera ng'eyo yemu ku scenario ze nali nfunyeko scenario ey'okubiri ndowooza yali yako kisaawe Dubai eyo nnyinza okugamba nti omuntu nasigalawo ennyonyi yandeka nga oli ampadde omuyindi yanzija ku nnyonyi nga ngenda Madina n'akwata n'antwala mu terminal ya Emirates Fly Emirates nga mbadde nyina genda mu ya Saudi mu ya gundi airlines endala kuba nali nyina kulinnya Saudi Air kati nesanga nti nasooka nentula nembeera relaxed nasumagiramu n'okusumagiramu ngenda okuzuuka okukitegeera nti tamino kwendi si entuufu nga bwe naakwatira train kuyanga ekisaawe mukimanyi mwenna abaali bayise Dubai waliwo oluusi bwolina okukwata train mu airport omunda
ove mu tamino emu ogende mu tamino endala
wallahi nentuuka wabula ekindesiza story eno kwe kuba nti ekirabwa y'okulya I think nagula keeki yali teweza 500 grams eyo ye yansustaining nga nafunawo ngayo ebyokulya awo ebyali naye saabibala nnyo wabula nali nina keeki eyo olwa sente entono ze nayina bawamu ova Uganda noga kasita ngenda sente n'abiraba naye nayina keeki eyo gye nalyangako n'amazzi g'obutaapu oluusi bwe bateekako ku airport okumala ndowooza ennaku zaalinga 2 oba 3 kubanga ekizibu nti twalina ku embeera yonna simanyi lwaki tekyajja mangu naye abantu be nayinanga contact people era kitegeeza ne contact person wo alina okuba nga mulabufu kubanga nze be nayina nga b'ebirowoozo byabwe maybe n'ebyange mu kiseera ekyo nga bigamba nti tulina kugenda ku agents office we tuba tubuukingira ennyonyi kati kyali kya nnaku nti ekiseera kyali kya Lwakutaano nnyonyi yandika Lwakuna nga nina okubeerawo Olwokuna n'Olwokutaano n'Olwomukaaga nnije ngende ku Sande kati mu mbeera eyo kitegeeza olina naye ekirala wano kyemmanyi nti beeranga mu hand luggage oba oli ku kisaawe teekamuko ku ngoye oluusi ne kishawera waawe oyinza okwagala okugula ya tiketi nga wallahi eziri kujja mu ssente zo teriiwo
simply because nsobola okuba nti nsumulwa barakallahu fikum sebo
just wano katono nnyo gundi gye twali twogerako gundi the empty quarter Rubu al Khali just njagala wano okukwatisa statistics za 2021 abantu 142 kusinziira ku mawulire Saudi be baawulira mu Rubu al Khali. The empty quarter.
142 people got lost.
Yes.
That's called the empty quarter.
The 28 of them ne bafa. Ne bakakasibwa nti bafudde. 10 baali rescued. 14 of them tebamanyiddwako mayitire.
Okulaga nti they are confirming a death, but they have not been found either.
Yes, tebamanyi wawe bali. So eddungulyo liri somehow.
For anyone listening to this conversation, this place where Yarubu al Khali, yali abantu ba Thamud, Sheikh Ntare. Allah babazikiriza when Allah brought a sandstorm n'ababikka bonna. This actually nothing grows in this particular place. Nabadega nti ekifo kikolimire kino kirina historical significance kubanga Mungu bwe yanyiigira abantu b'omulembe ogwo n'abazikiriza. Nothing grows in that place. It's that empty quarter. Gamba chonsomesezzo olwairo that I've found very interesting is the fact that covering says I've always thought it was just Yemen. I didn't know that Saudi Arabia had a part in the yayo.
Kirina kilometers kumpi zaagala kukwata lukaaga gondi emitwalo 6 square kilometers.
Wow.
Okusinziira ku kundi ezimu so abagundi kati gwe w'ekibira kankwerekereze nange
Thank you
very
much. If you've just joined us, the program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, and tonight we are talking about getting lost and how you actually probably found yourself. If we are talking to you now, it simply means that you have been found or you were found at some point. I would like to hear your own stories regarding a situation where you either found yourself lost and how you managed to get yourself out of that. Welcome to all of you. Very well, several new faces in here, but also the regulars. Hajat Sara Mkulengede, Assalamu alaikum, woyingidene hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil, Wembogo, Namkwaya Amina. I have seen you, Hajat Mastura, RM, Mariam, and Nabara, iPhone. Naam, hajati nusura wawadde mu bantu abaakedde. I'm sure emboozi eno eyinza okuba nti it has touched a chord with you in some way or another. Hajati Sarah busy. Yes, understood. Hajati Sarah, I will not be coming to you. Let me go to Hajati Nusra. Maybe probably you will get less busy at some point in the conversation. As long as you can listen in, alhamdulillah. Hajati Nusra, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Have you
Very
ever been lost?
Do you know what? Interesting story. Alhamdulillah, I haven't.
Oh, I mean.
But in my role that I do of looking after children, I teach them when they do get lost, excuse me, what they do. So because I teach toddlers, so if I'm out in a supermarket or if I'm out, so I teach my children about stranger danger.
All right.
And I also teach my children, if you do get lost and you can't find me, find a police officer who's dressed like this. Or so you teach them about authoritative figures in the community, so that's who they need to look out for if
Do
they
they
are
know
lost.
your names?
They do know my name.
Right.
Well, the fortunate thing, they call me Auntie Noose. So that's what they call me. But where I'm so strict, alhamdulillah, in the last 3 years, I haven't actually lost no child. So for that, alhamdulillah, even the Bwembera nyina batano, your mama ni okwekwata ku mukono. So, but it is scary. Okubera you're lost. But it's something, I think sometimes I put fear in children. So actually, they don't even bother to even say, but nah, let me get lost, or because some kids like to run around.
Yeah.
When you're when you do the thing that I do, being a childminder, you get all sorts of children. Often abana bali autistic, often abana autism, and so on, and ADHD, and there's nothing you can do. But you've got to be able to teach them the dangers of running away, so that's the only thing you can do. Every said, every singer is just to teach them stranger danger, the dangers of, crossing the road. Now there's no green light, and
There are times though when I think the worry is the first reaction when you are lost, or when you lose a child, the first reaction. Because there's that panic. Exactly. So that how you react first might actually inform what transpires later.
that
Because
is it.
if it is an adult and you have found yourself lost,
Yes.
like I said in the trailer, it's something that is called lost person behavior.
Yes.
There are people who have done a lot of research into this, and especially the Himalayas. People go to climb Mount Everest, and people have got lost. There are people who have disappeared and have never been seen, especially when there's bad weather, like there's an avalanche which comes and sucks up someone, and then someone is just, lost. Or there are people who just think, let me just go for a little stroll, and before they know it, obudde ne bukuzibwako kati ogenda okuwulira n'essensi ya direction nebula noba kati ogenda ku tawakkul. But it is these first few minutes really where do you decide to just say, let me go in one place and stick here and probably hope that someone will come and find me, or do you start panicking and therefore trying probably to retrace? Well, the problem is actually sometimes, especially if it's a forest, or even a desert like Sheikh Tari Wabadde agamba. Desert is such an open area. I mean, I traveled, we did a very difficult journey. We were leaving Niger to cross 900 miles, actually from leaving Niamey, the capital in Niger, going all the way to Agadez, and then leaving Agadez to the border, either in Dirkou, in Arlit, the border with Libya, or Dirkou, border with Algeria. Waliwo mailo rukumi, actually 996 miles, just that distance. In between that, there is simply where you get lost. Nemutuuka nga amakubo, because there is no tarmac. Bano ba caravans traders ababaddemu for long baba bamanyimu, ne even thieves baba bamanyi nti kasita obula bwoti n'obaako gy'okutte ku kkono olyamanya tomanyi gy'oraga ne bakukimako. water, you run out of water, because I was trying to act, to one of these migrants. I had gone there, my British passport is hidden away, but meantime, I have to live the life of a migrant. Osiba akadomora kwa 5 liters on your waist. That water runs out very quickly. Naye Mungu bw'akusasira n'ofuna ku musulo ne gujja ogwali badde ogw'okufuka wansi wennyini gw'ofuuyisa muli kubanga urine is acidic when it's hot, but when it gets cold, it becomes alkaline, and alkaline is drinkable. So you start consuming your own urine as a survival mechanism, because mudungu, there's no water. If you're gone, you're gone. If you run out, you've run out.
Wow.
Yes, all this, the more you travel, the more you become combat hardened. There is no situation now that you can just say, I'm panicked or whatever. Alhamdulillah. Because of the kind of different scenarios that have been put through. On this one, I'd seen people traveling, but it had not occurred to me that it would be this bad. Someone drops off the truck now, you cannot stop to pick them up because of, the dangers that lie around.
Wow.
The best that we did is truck stops. Owners just out of respect. Omuntu n'akwata siripa ye gy'oyambadde gy'osindikisa omusenyi teri byakusima just nti bodde ekavangiddwako akasenyi okuba nti engoye temukyaziraba, and then you get traveling. If you in such a place, you are doomed.
Wow, that's
yes. So that's why I was just going back to the point that the first instance where your moment says when you just got lost is very critical, because then it determines how you're going to go. Do you because there are people who, if they find themselves in a situation like that, you simply freeze. Freezing. There are others who are quick thinkers now, and quick thinking problems because you are embarking on some dangerous maneuvers.
Yes, I think for me, I would actually go back trace back where I came from. That's what I would do. And at times, that's why I don't like to go to New Addington, to go into the forests. In my head, I'm like, so, you see beautiful forests. It would be so nice again there. But you actually just imagining yourself Okubula, because in New Addington, one of your places where you actually get lost, like Biggin Hill, you start finding Gundi deers.
Yes, and foxes as well, because we are the New Addington's foxes need.
You see, so and sometimes foxes says kutia.
No, if it sees fear on your face, then it will make an effort to try to make a point and come towards.
So with those places in Peter because the thought of getting lost, I tell you, said every single when you go to these places in those New Addington, abazungu tabakuyamba. You're practically on your own. So that is avoid problems.
Thank you very much, Nusra. Well, sometimes I think you need to take chances, and the more chances you take, the more risks you take. If you are alive, you live to tell the story. If you are not, then definitely you are not able to. Barakallahu fikum. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. Yes, if you've just joined us, I can see Sondo, who has just joined us. Fazil Mayanja, you've been around, but you dropped out and then came back. I'd like to hear your stories regarding your lost stories. How did you find yourself? How did you manage to, get yourself back after you got lost? Ajat Mastura, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Are you there? Hello, Mastura. Hello? Let me try iPhone. iPhone, are you there? Okay, Fazil, yes, I've seen your message. Inshallah, we'll wait for you to finish Maghrib. iPhone, are you there? Are you able to come on, iPhone? Let me go to Debs. Debs, you are there. Welcome. You are the first one in the class this night. I'm sure coming from where you come from, Namitiana, you must have got lost at some point in your life. Sondo, we welcome you very much. I've just seen you join us, Sondo. Debs, yes, go ahead, please. And another Mundamitiana is just joining us all the way.
You like to pick on me as Mundamitiana, but you
Well,
don't know. I
knowing
am
Mitiana, knowing
I am a
Mitiana.
planned kid. I've never been lost.
Yeah.
No, seriously. I have never been. I was actually thinking about you. You told a story about getting lost between Rwanda and Congo.
Congo, yes.
And it reminded me, actually, that was the story I was going to tell, because I have actually been lost between in Gisenyi, between Gisenyi and Goma.
Yes.
But that was really a very sort of mild story. The only other time I think I got lost was in Scandinavia. It was in Denmark.
So what happened in Goma? Did you end up in the Kiswahili area, in the trading area? What were the circumstances of your getting lost?
The story, well, we were going to party. There was a club, a famous club just by the border. And I was working in Gisenyi at the time. And so there was a club right by the border, and we wanted to go party. And when we got there, someone told us that no, the party was not there, so we needed to go into Goma. And we crossed over. When we crossed over, people kept on telling us, no, it's not here. I think the idea was to really kidnap us. But then we realized this is way back in the 90s. So we then realized, I think we've been, guys, because they kept on telling us, the party's not here. So we kept on moving and moving. And but coming back now, it became very difficult to cross back, because on the Rwandan side of the border, they were now wanting us, because when we crossed over, we didn't have any documents.
Yes.
And now crossing back became a bit of an issue. And that's when we kind of all scattered, and we all had to use whatever tactics that you could use. Mine was to speak Luganda, because I knew that most of those border guys understood Luganda. So I kind of pretend, I was like, I don't even know why I'm here. And I'm speaking, but I don't. And then so that's how I crossed. So that was my short story of my getting lost. But and then the other time I got lost physically, it was in Denmark, and it was a very windy day, I remember. We had gone to one side of it is a place called Kiwi, for people who know Scandinavia or who know Denmark. And we got lost, and then it got so windy, and it was very much about how we had to walk, and the wind is pushing you back, you're pushing forward, wind is pushing you, and you can't even stand. And me being a very Mitiana, I'm from Mitiana, born and bred. I was like, okay, I'm dying, that kind of thing. So those are the only two really physical times that I think I've been lost physically.
So what
but
went
I've
through
been
your
lost.
mind? What
I'm
went,
sorry?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Probably there might be a point there for me to pick up on.
Yeah, for me, most of my being lost has been most sort of psychological, if you like, not knowing what is the next logical step to take.
Right.
And oba mu Luganda ekyo bakiyita batya? Mu Luganda n'ogamba kati oba how can I give an example? muli mu meeting your family. Everyone is bringing their own ideas, and you're thinking, what is the next logical step to take? And you can get lost in that because you're trying to listen to everyone's idea, and before you know it, you're lost, or one is lost.
Yeah.
So for me,
how do you get yourself out of that?
I shut down.
Yes.
I shut down, or I shout.
Right.
You've seen my political things on Facebook, Kassim. So, when I shut down, I just cast down everyone.
Thanks very much, Debs. Much appreciated. And Kagaba Salam, I've just seen you have joined us. Thank you very much for joining us. The conversation is about being lost, getting lost, and how you find yourself, how you get yourself back. Remember, if you have any view and probably you're still, trying to grab my attention, you can just drop a message in the chat room and I'll come to you ASAP. Sondo, your audio is not on, which means we cannot hear you. I'm just wondering if you are able to hear us, which I think might be difficult. But if you are able to see us, then probably you might be able to hear us, but we can't hear you because your microphone is not on. Ajat Mastura, I come to you. Fazira, I'm sure you're back as well from Maghrib. Mastura, are you there? Mastula? Okay. Sister Habiba, I'm sure you're there on Umma Connected there. Sister Habiba, have you ever been lost? Have you ever got lost at all? I'm sure you have at some point. Everyone, I think, should have in one way or another. It might not be as serious as we might want it to be, but quite often, one of us will have got lost one way or another, but it's more the panic. Yes, Sister Habiba.
Hey, you sent the message to me.
Hey, was the message to you, Sam? Hey, I'm assuming, have you ever got lost?
My wife asked me today.
Yes.
When we were topic here, nemugamba nze nali planned kid saabula era we planned kid tetubula.
Planned kid, and the problem is you just stick in one place. You don't move. That's the issue.
See the experience
It's because actually when and we were unplanned, we were planned kids, by the way. Come on. Now, planned or unplanned, I think getting lost sometimes is actually a good thing, because when you find yourself, when you can discover yourself, the next thing is then you come out of that situation much more wiser than you did. Because just imagine this kind of picture, you are in the middle of a forest. You've ended up getting lost. You don't know which way to go. This reminds me actually, circa 1986. It's July 7th, July 8th. I've just escaped from home. I'm trying to cross from Kenya and return to Uganda, running away from my stepmom, trying to go back to my mom. My mom is in Uganda. I've not been back to Uganda in nearly 7 years. This is the first time I'm returning. I have to get to Lyantonde. Never been to Lyantonde before, but I've had lots of stories about it. My mom runs a restaurant there. I travel, and as part of the backup, kuna packet yange ya biscuit, House of Manji, green box, fantastic way. Nkubi akakoti ka checked, nakatincha akajukira nebukaraz bwako wa green. I get to the border, Mazok traveling overnight on a bus. It's a long story. That's a story I've told in a different setting. But now I just want to talk about getting lost, because now I'm at the border. I need to cross to go the other side. It is not as obvious as you may think, because I do not have a passport. Wanting crossing a border. Essentially, I'm lost. I think while I know I want to go to Uganda, blah, blah, but how I get there is a different thing. Ngenda okulaba ntuuse ku border, buli muntu afuluma basi ng'awaayo passport ye. I do not have any form of identification. Panic sets in, and I have to think very quickly nkoze ntya. Neneemulula mpolampola ng'ayagala ogenda ku toilet naye ng'olwo ndi mu kuzigaziga. Obudde bwakakya, it is just 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Buses zitambula ekiro abava Nairobi, you know, traveling overnight and then, you know, crossing the border in the morning. So the bus is there, it's dropped us off. Bus at that time zaiti bannaba kuzikiriza crossinga kujja Uganda. So you would get to the border and then you would take another bus or another mini bus zakusinga zaali Chigati. Nissan Urban that, you know, we have many at that time, the UAAs. And so I'm there, I'm lost. I'm worried about, I know I want to cross, I want to get over to the other side, but I don't know how to do it. Napaketi yange ya biscuit backup. And tambu. Kino kusembera bwenti maso, I see a young girl. Aine ekibbo ku mutwe atunda miyembe n'emichungwa, partly miyembe n'emichungwa. Ngende kulaba ne this is my ticket now to salvation. Nenkwata ka biscuit nenkeeriisayisa nga bwe musemberedde ngenze mubuuziza habari yako mzuri, musimbye ka biscuit. Lwamusimba ka biscuit okwali okusirika, I get interested. I'm trying to talk to her. Oh, so where are you going? You know, I'm just going to the other side of Sophia, Uganda side. Mutima nenga akirozi. Omuwala bwe yamalangawo ka biscuit bw'atika simuganya kumuwa kadde kalowooza ne mwongera ka biscuit. For me, this was, you know, the trick to make sure conversation egenda mu maaso tajja kumbuuza bingi. But in the meantime, atulaba alaba tuli wamu, but I'm trying to get the other side. You need to be creative, you know, in a situation where you think you are in a bit of trouble. So, omuwala tena yeka biscuit oba bwamuwoomera buwoomezi ng'engaaya gy'abugaayamu alinga talina muyembe waggulu ku mukibbo. She would just chew very quickly and then wanting to continue talking. Naye wakamalirawo bw'ati nga nze ndi wali ndi ku standby nga musimba ka biscuit kalala, just to allow the conversation. In the meantime, we are moving until we got to cross over. Once I realized I was in Uganda, I'd managed to cross without even, you know, like showing my passport because I didn't have any anyway. Mwana waka biscuit nenkola ki. Mwana muwala muleka kati ndoza alaba ate muvudde kati ka biscuit kabadde kawomi. House of Manji biscuits zaina a particular way that they were really sweet. They were hard. Ngane mukateeka mukamwa ate kali ngayambwanga omwala okateeka mukamwa osooka kalwisaamu, otherwise oba tokakozezza mu mazzi olina kavumbika mu ttama kamala okugondagonda kaweweerewere oli okukamira mwanga tolina kyokanywesezaako oba talina mazzi oyinza okufiirawo bwe kaba kakutuze. So for me, this was a survival strategy. Moved with this girl, made sure I kept the story flowing, just trying to ask as many questions and looking as interested in whatever she was saying. Omuwala yali mu Samia, but she could speak Swahili because being on the border. Netutambula mpola mpaka mara okulaba maze okutuuka emitala ndaba ba money changers wali biki passport nsobodde okuyitawo. For me now, that was going into salvation. So if you find yourself in a situation of being lost, especially if it is not getting lost in a forest or in a desert, but rather you are lost in a public space, if you show you are panicked or, you know, you're rushing to ask around, it might actually put you in trouble or in danger. You try as much as possible. First of all, try to calm yourself. Take a deep breath. Think through your next move and how you're going to go about it, and then carefully implement that move. Slowly but steadily until you get there. The program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. We are live on 75 W Radio, live on Ummah Connected, 36 minutes past 9 o'clock in UK. I think that will be 36 minutes past 11 o'clock in Uganda. It's nearly midnight, if I'm right about it. Yes, omuwala namuleka si bulungi. Biscuit agendeze ku ogwo ndowooza yalyanga buna oba butaano obanga ku rate gye yali atandise okugenda obuliirako yali etiisa. Namukwaya Amina says, yep, she'd laughed, but now when I go with her, I'm like her tale. Oh, it looks like I must have missed a story here. I think I'd rather read through that story. Yes, me, I got lost from my madam in a big mall. in Saudi. They have malls which looks like a big city. And our madams are always in black niqab. So you could go to look for something, and after you can't recognize her. After a minute, you become frightened. How can I recognize her? How will I go home? Whom can I tell that I'm lost? Help me look for my madam. You don't even know Arabic. Allah Akbar. So I thought it wise, maybe tightening my clothes, tying my clothes with her hijab so we don't get separated, but she ended up laughing. But seriously, you can't recognize your madam when there are many in one place, I would imagine. We should learn Arabic and walk with some money. Know your address in case you're lost. It's easy to grab a cab and take you to that location. Fantastic idea. Actually, if you are there, why don't we just explore a little bit into that in terms of that? Amina, if you are able to speak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would love to hear a little bit more of this madam story. Hello, Amina, are you able to speak? Hello, Amina, are you able to speak? Maybe not. Sheikh, busy. Okay, understood. Thank you very much for the story. Let me try. Bwana Isma in the studios, I'm sure you have ever got lost. I mean, come on. It's not possible. Tojja kutula mu byuma wekwekereyo osirikire busirikize. Bwana Isma, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sebo wali obuzeeko. Isma, are you there? Ajat Sara, I'm wondering if you are still busy as well. If you are still busy. Naam, sir.
Salamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Nga badaffa bwe bajja aja kyayogeddeko ekyokuwula ku madamu we.
Yes.
Oba nakunyumizako story y'abantu bwe nali nkozesa tawaafu wano.
Naam.
Nga baagaana oggula ennamba z'e Saudi.
Yes.
Kati banga twagala kusaalira ku Maqamu Ibrahim. Kiseera kyali kizibu nnyo, yali December nga bantu bangi. Bagamba temugenda. She was a lady with two girls. Abawalabe. Ne bagamba temugenda. Wallahi ne bawalaze empaka. Ngenda okugamba nti ngenda esaaleera akabbiri eza baada tawaafu. Nga bo nga sikyabalaba. Wabula wano kyenjagalawo si kunyumya bunyumya story. Nanoonya engeri gye mbakubiramu essimu nga sigiraba. Essimu zaabwe balina ze baali bava mu Europe, one of the countries, naye olw'okuba nti tosobola kwogera nsi oba ogenda kati olwo otandise okwogera baali bava mu ku nsi za Europe. Wallahi nakakibwa olw'okuba omwami nali mumanyi ne ngamba kankubire seeka keke ali mu Europe nga nkozesa layini yange ye Saudi yasobola kati okunnoonyeza bano nga ye akozesa nnamba yaabwe era eya Europe. Kati at times era abantu basobola okubula kati nga wano mu Makka bazze mu umra, omuntu n'abulya ddala okumala ennaku 3 nga gabwe bulijjo ndi mu haramu omwo naye nga siraba. Era
Sheikh Dale sokoleke sawaka subi yawo kubanga olaba okuseka kwange sikwa bwerere. 1974 abantu bava e Rwanda bajja okukola hijja zezedda zabanga zanjawulo nnyo. Abantu logistics zaali ddala nnyo. Yes, abantu baali batono in comparison kubana abaliwo ku mulembe guno, but still the numbers were much bigger. N'omuntu okusobola okubula ne weema tents z'emmina nga bw'olaba bwe wali n'akavuyo akaliyo konna. One of them musajja ajja bamuyita Sumaili ava e Rwanda, ajjidde mu delegation y'e Rwanda, azze agenda okukola tawaafu awo, bajja bamulinnya agwa wansi. Bwe yagwa wansi passport ekikondolo kwe yali akisibye nga passport evaako tayi, ayogera olulimi lumu ng'embuzi. Ayogera olulimi lwe lumu ng'embuzi. Oluswayiri lwali lwakuwejjesa nga terunnaba kubaamu nnyo Olunyarwanda. Atuusa abulidde e Makka, bano batuuse be yajja nabo bamubuuliddwa tebalina na contact n'ebya embassy tabitegeera. Be bano abasajja yakola ssente ze agenze mu busuubuzi, agagawadde mu busuubuzi naye nga talina okufulumako kwe kukwazze e Makka. Ng'abulira mu hijja bamaze okumunoonya bamubuuliddwa tebalaba kye bakola, baga nti inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raaji'uun, nga baddayo e Rwanda nga babika. bamala okubika omusajja ng'atuuka kati Saudi omuntu biseera naddala ebyo omuntu yali tasobola kufiirayo njala ng'afuna bw'ali alya bano bamuwa bano bamubuuza oli waawa shesismuk ebyamannya tebiriiwo omusajja engeri gye yawangalamu omwaka mulamba Allahu a'lam mpaka omwaka ogujja abantu bajja mu hijja ey'okubiri Rwanda bamaze n'okwabya olumbe ene Abanyarwanda tebaabya lumbe naye bamaze okulomba edduwa kati enkolaki edduwa ekkiriza nti omusajja yafa bagenda okujja omusajja abano gurupu ez'empya kati awulira hijja ez'empya yasigala mu Makka omwo nga mwe yeetooloolera Mungu n'amukumira mu mwaka mulamba abantu bakomawo bajja for hajji for the next year alengera bendera y'e Rwanda kaara akalimu akati agenda okulaba bali bazze bagikutte ng'akuba endulu agenda abatuukako bano lwamulaba bonna nga beekanga kubanga amawulire gaali gaatuukibwa nti abasiraamu batono community mwe batambulira watono so it was easy to identify omusajja agenda okudda e Rwanda baamutuma Sumaili Yezu nti Yesu yazuukira era yagenda okufa baamutta wano mu genocide baakuba bomu we wakaawe grenade ne Allahumma ighfir lahu warhamhu waskunhu fil janna yenga baba erinnya lyamukalirako ddala emyaka gyonna ffe tugenza okukula nga tumanyi Sumaili Yezu era nga Sumaili Yezu yenga awulidde Makka sewe ogenda mu maaso emboozi kanzijidde awo sikayinza kufa ga mpitamu bwe katyo
naye alo
share freeze nze
embadde
eri mu red
eyange
iyo net in red
Mungu
buzzer in red
eraziremu katundu naye neekomawo kati ndabye ekomyewo kale genda mu maaso naye wali emboozi ya Sumaili Yezu yo mugifunye
yo tugiwulidde yonna paka wosomya Allahumma ighfir lahu warhamhu
Allahumma amin
naye ate yasukkawo kuba omwaka omulamba mwaka mugundi bbanga ddene naye ng'affe oluusi abantu bajja wano kye tubagamba we advise abantu okusooka okugula ennamba ya wano eba ya ssente ng'oyinza okulaba ng'ennyingi pawundi kale 15 naye ina weesobola okuyambira wanene ekyokubiri
n'ekirala kyembadde ndaba actually engeri gye mukozesa ate twogedde and we forgot to mention this ng'ate Makka we wantu awangu nnyo aw'okubulira ate laba conversation gyezze ng'evudde ku Amina ng'ate ebadde na mu moolo nga teri ku Makka wano Makka ndowooza ekirala one thing that is very important ffe nga mu media whenever we would be going for deployment oba ogenda covering a demonstration kubanga bwemugenda nga mu covering a demonstration oyinza okuba nga oli awo ne bajja ne babakuba mu tear gas they disorganize you the best way is before as part of your planning era bwobanga gwe abatwala abantu wali ku tawaf one of the things is you must agree on a meeting point so muyinza okugamba for example nti wabweru wa haramu wali McDonald's teyinza kugibulwa ogiraba buli muntu ajja kubula McDonald's were ku kisaawa in case you get lost that is our meeting point so kibeere nti oli bwagenda n'akola emikolo gyonna gy'akoze that actually is still back the rendezvous point it's called an RV it's a rendezvous point muba mulina okukkaanya mu safari yonna gy'ogaa nti in case tubulaŋŋanyeeko this is the meeting point when we are deploying in media for instance bwogenda nga mugundi nga mu demonstrations or covering a demonstrations you make sure one mulina koodi yammwe gye mukozesa muyinza okutuuka nga munaayogera ekigambo mwe wakati wammwe mukitegeera once you mention it it becomes a starting point for you two muyinza oga nti bwe nkolola emirundi 3 oba ndakidde oba sirakidde bwe nkolola emirundi 3 musaasaane That's part of the code. It might be that's one thing you agree upon. Nogandi bw'owulira nkolodde emirundi 3 manya waliwo ekitali kirungi naye meeting point yaffe kubanga tetutambulira wamu ffenna wamu buli omu akwatirye but our meeting point is that kati nga mmwe abakozesa abantu towaafu nakyo ekyo it is really really critical kiba kijja kutaasa embeera eno gy'oli mu kwogerako of getting lost once you agree on a rendezvous point because you know in the way yeetoololawa that is one critical point that someone cannot miss. So, and then it is distance. Oyinza okuga nti maqamu Ibrahim nga buli muntu wali mu kulwanira okugenda wali mu haram n'osanga wazibuzibu so you need a place that is outside that where someone agendenga ne bwagenda kubuuza somebody for an address or directions, emutwala wali, and that is your meeting point. So that is, I think, very, very important. That would have saved you the problem.
Wallahi namugamba bafune nafuna ekifo nayimirira ne ngamba omwami bagaye bansange wano.
Esimu z'Ebulaya zaaliko.
Esimu y'Ebulaya yaliko ey'omwami. Naye nga ze zaabwe ndowooza engeri gye zaali mu roaming nga ne bigaana okukola. Jjukira abamu essimu bazirekayo mu hoteeri. That's another problem. Kati era ekigamba omuntu waliwo ebintu byoteekeddwa naddala technology gwe tugenze tufuna, nsuubira bayinza okuba bakyogeddeko. Oluusi abantu abamu kati babeera ne gundi babuyita air tags. Bwe mba nga mulina omuntu gwe mutya nti ayinza obbabulako oba omwana omuto ku haramu, oba olina mwana muto osobola okugenda waliwo ebyuma ebiprintinga bu tags ne bateekako ennamba ey'essimu. That's why olina okuba n'ennamba ya wano. Baprintinga tukayite ka bracelet, erinnya ly'omwana n'ery'omuzadde ne contact number. Ndowooza zibeeranga gundi ezo. Abalala bo era Ajati kyayogedde, Ajati ndowooza abadde Namukwaya. Amina Namukwaya. Abamu beesibako bakwata ne beesiba ebiwuzi aga atondeka sikuleka. So oluusi
Rashida inakaresi wano Sheikh Itale kamurete Rashida. Yeah, sometimes you get lost and the one you ask naye yongera kukubuza, like the blind asking the deaf for directions. Subhanallah. Rashida, let me bring you in here, please, as part of the conversation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, Rashida. Assalamu alaikum. Rashida, are you able to speak, or are you busy wherever you are? Because I would have wanted to explore just a little bit of this. I just started what I was saying. Are you free? Well, I'm getting Rashida.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Rashida, you could spare us 2 minutes since you are still on. It's bedtime, so you can't speak. Yes, Hajat sir, I'm sure you have ever got lost.
I can say I have. Actually, I've never got lost as an adult.
You are a planned kid.
Probably, yeah. Nali mbuzeeko ko nga ndi muto. I think nalinamu obulwadde bwali buntaanye bwali bw'amajjini era nazuukuka buzuukusi mu nnyumba ne nzigulawo oluggi ne nfuluma. But I think I was like 8 years and I didn't know what was happening. So abaaka ne bakola saaki naye nga nze nno omusajja mukulu nali namumanyi ne ku kyalo nga mugoberera nga tugenda twogera. Kaakati n'amala n'agamba naye omwana ono alaga wa ddala ekituufu alaga anyumya naye emboozi takoma. N'asalawo n'asaza mu lugendo n'ankomyawo. But I was not well. I think it was an illness. Naye the only kind of lost that I would say, well, lost that doesn't have to be just like physical. It could also be mental. For me, I've suffered from a mental. I've gotten lost mentally. When I lost my husband, it was a very terrible time. That's when I couldn't know what to do, where I am. I was already almost losing it mentally. That's the biggest time that I got lost within me. Yeah, anga oli wantu woli naye nga tuli nga taliiwo, okwata kino tekigenda, embeera n'ekyankalanira ddala nnyo. So that is the major biggest.
How did you get yourself out of it? Oh, actually, when did you realize that is what you're going through? Because sometimes if without realization, it becomes even difficult to treat.
What happened was, manyi myaka gyaffe nga nze kangambe mwe nafumbirwa, our men used to take up all the responsibility of a home. They would look after us and our children. Nga ne bw'obeera mu mirimu gye ba used to partner with him in work, naye era nga yamanyi munaalya ki, yamanyi sente gye ziva gobeera awo kyankalanya wali bitabo balabazi bitabo, yamanyi where he has invested and everything, abaana school fees, he was the sole responsibilities zonna nga ziri ku ye. Gwe woli nga pati naawe naye olinda ne mu katale nze nga simanyiyo nti ngulayo emmere kuba abasajja bafe abasiraamu, if they really treat you right, they really treat you right. Nga n'akaleega size yakamanyi nika everything, you see. So you'd never done shopping for you. Okujjako bugambi nti maybe I just take the children out. The only shopping I'll do was for the kids once in a while, but everything was coming home. Buli kimu okirabira awo. Kakati n'akeera enkya nga n'amujjulula n'amukuggyako betu. Kakati n'olaba obuvunaanyizibwa obukuguddeko nga tolina bw'otandikira na butandika.
Where do I start?
Afudde n'embeera financial naye neekola ki? N'ekyuka. N'ekyuka, banka zikusika zikuzze ne bakubuuza tobitegeera, abaana bakubuuza bino, omulala agaanidde ku ssomero kuba pick-up egenze omunona si emmotoka gy'asuubira okumunona. Kale batuuse okubeera mu ssomero, you cannot sustain them the way they used to. Buli kimu bakirabanga, they just make a list and you get everything, but now you're starting to get items off the list, ng'otandise kugenda mu basics ng'ate bo balinanga luxuries, so it became a bit too much. Naye I was so thankful, ate nga ne society omanyi oluusi obeera mu high class mulimu era gye mwetwalamu nga ne society togiriimu, muli mu bulamu bwammwe bulala nnyo.
Where you start now to even come down to their level.
Otandika okudda eno, otandika okulaba nga n'okukyalo ayinza okuba ow'omugaso, okutandika okumubuuzaako oli obadde ovuga otambula butambuzi, kakati nno olwaleero ogenda naye kulinnya takisi nga ne takisi paaka tomanyiiyo, n'omwana tamanyi gye. It was a total loss, me being lost in a world which was continuing to move and at a very, very fast pace, and I wasn't coping. Naye Allah yansaasiranga kyanyamba n'okuba nti when it happened, we had even moved from where we used to live. Kati nga ku kyalo kwendi, I was a new person. So, and everything was going to be new, as in getting friends on the village, getting to know the mosque. Nali sigenda nko ku muzikiti, nti mbedde awo nti ebyemizikiti mbigendamu, okuggyako ekibuli ku Yidi okusala Yidi. Then I started getting nengamba kakati kangendeko wano ku muzikiti for a Jumaa ndabe what to do. Then tulaawo nendaba abakyala nga they were friendly, ate ne banjagala nnyo, ate nga kyanyamba nali nange nsomyeko ku Quran, agenda okulaba ate nga nalina level gye ndika ate teri yabbo. They ended up electing me as their Amira, ne mbakulembera. And ended up integrating in the society, ntandika okuba nga twala dalasaazi, ntandika okukwatagana n'abalala. Ebyo ne bigenda biwubula ku mbeera. Yes, there was some financial issues, but the mental part was being healed. Nga ninako embeera gye nkumakumagibwamu abantu abalala. Kakati awo ne mbeera mu madalasa ago ntugatambuzanga ku country wa. I started getting activities nga ne be ndimu tebamanyi, they are seeing someone new. Well, probably where I used to be, they would have rejected me olw'okuba nti class yali ndala n'embeera gye twatambuliramu yali ndala, naye okukyusa environment n'embeera ewala, it helped. Kati ate awo ne nafunamu ne ku bakyala abajjanga mu malwaliro who used to be my husband's counselors when we are maybe almost the entire family, because we were going through a lot when he was ill. Kati ate ne kimpaliza okugenda n'engenda n'enkolayo counseling course. Ate ako nako ne boosting within the community, nembeera so helpful. I used to learning about HIV and stuff, and I started educating women. Nendaba nga I have a bigger value in society. Kyokubeera nga nawe owulira nga olina n'omugaso, it brings you back n'owulira nga there is something you're doing, you're helping others, despite the fact that you have your own issues. Allah n'antambulizaawo mpola mpola. Nemalawo like 2 years, then I had to come over. Najja wano as nga bw'omanya story yange yali mpanvu. I've always told it time and again. Ate nakyo ne kyaprootinga from that society n'entandika ate endala. Nayo ne ngisangamu lots of its own problems, but at least it was helping financially. So I started building myself slowly, but that is a loss. Up to today in Davanga, it was a very big time when I was totally lost. But then alhamdulillah Allah yanyamba oba n'eddiini nakyo kikuyambako banatulanga ku musaalo gwange ne neekomyawo ate ne communities nawangalya amezi abasiraamu bannange. I hope I haven't taken you off topic, but
no, not at all. I think it's on because loss here, even when I was doing the trailer, I mentioned that there is the spiritual, there is the emotional, there is the psychological loss that that you
problem was I was a bit distracted, so I was getting bits here and there. I hope nga bw'ogambye mpadde reassurance nti sivudde ku mulamwa.
nagenda mbulire nga bw'abadde atusuubiza ogenda mu tulo. Ajati Sarah, you never disappoint. You always
obuze sheyi waffe freeze.
Assalamu alaikum. Naam.
Obadde
Hello Rashid, assalamu alaikum.
Seka keke.
Naam.
Ajati Sarah.
Rashid, the microphone. Yes, go ahead please.
No, Rashida wabaza asooka gye tulabe.
Rashida ndaba microphone eringa evuddeko because she's unmuted but I can't hear her. Microphone teriiko. Yes, genda maaso shentale.
Saba mukadde waffe Allah gwe yajjula Allah amusaasire. Era ne Hajjati naye kubanga ekituufu embeera eyo bangi ebatuukako mu buufu obwo bwennyini naye tusaba Allah engeri gy'atugambye bwe yagivuunuka n'abalala bonna Allah bavuunusa ebizibu bye bayitamu. Wabula njagadde ku kommentiga ku nsonga ya mwannyinaffe Rashida.
Rashida
alina
microphone ezzeeko kati yesewo.
Alina gundi story gy'anzijukiza eri mu Bukhari ne Musilimu ey'omusajja eyatta abantu 99.
Yes.
Omuntu gwe yasookerako yayongera kumuguza bamulagirira agende omusosolodoti namugaa Allah tasobola kubanga kati eyo Hajjati kyabadde ayogerako somebody to be lost emotionally oba spiritually. Omusajja yali very lost ng'anoonya how to be salvated, how to get back to his feet. Alongoose naye gwe yasookerako n'amugamba nti tokyalina n'attamutte. Kati omusajja omulala ye yamulagirira n'agamba nti genda mu kifo gundi nga Hajjati ate bwe yakola n'agamba kati wano ewaka wayinza obutamunyamba ku healinga kangende creating a community.
Rashida abadde azze
agende maaso sebo barakallahu fiikum.
Engeri abadde atuwadde alaati ey'okugenda mu buliri. Rashida, assalamu alaikum, please go ahead. Mbadde ndabye ozzaayo nomala n'olookinga. Rashida, male nsaba tukufune nga tonnagenda, sleep time yiyo yatuuse dda. Atazzeemu alookinze ya Rabbi. Rashida, right. Rashida, go on. Abadde azze ate wamaze neyeetugga. Rashida agambye I can't talk. Okay, barakallahu fikum. Janat's iPhone. Janat, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rashida, your point noted. You can't talk. Environment. Okay, understood. Janat, are you there? Hajjat Janat, are you there? Okay, and it is 1 minute exactly past 10 o'clock, nearly coming to the end of our conversation tonight. Hajjati Mariam and RM Bonnaba. Let me try to see. Fazil Mayanja, did he disappear for good? He went and looks like he got tied down or tied up. Kangendewa Mariam, and then I'll go to RM and probably we might be able to wrap up, inshallah. Mariam, assalamu alaikum. Hello, Mariam. Hello, Mariam. And RM. Silence. on all those fronts, Ya Rabbil Alamin. Janat, Yendeko Aisha, Atayin Namukwaya. Hello, Hajat Aisha. Hello, Aisha, you are there?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was getting worried now everybody had gone quiet. How are you?
Mbadde siri bubi munange.
Hey, alhamdulillah. Naffe twebaza.
Alhamdulillah.
Wali obuzeeko?
Buli omu abulambulamu. Teri atabulangako.
Waliwo atugambye nti planned kid wano yalayidde Haji Usaama n'agamba atabulangako. Planned kid tebabula. Wabula otya? Wabulira wa?
Era nze ebiseera bye nabuliramu byali bya kiwalawo by'abasajja n'okuva ku mulamwa. Kati nze ebyange byagenda kubanga nazaalibwa mu Busiraamu, nakuzibwa mu Busiraamu. Kati time yatuuka awo nasomako ku ddiini entonotono naye nava Uganda nga siri mukulu nnyo. Kati saagigenda wala bulungi kubeera nga ndi mu mutima bulungi kati nga practicinga bulungi. Kati ku university time awo ne ndyoka manyi disappointment z'abasajja. Kati ne balyoka bansika ogenda mu church naye ng'omanyi ekizibu kyange nali njagala ddiini yange naye ng'omanyi tonnabategeera buli kimu like bw'osala tomanyi kyebitegeeza. Oba okitegeera ne bantwala mu church eyo awo nabuliramu awo n'ogenda mu church n'otandika kwegamba n'otandika okusaba mu by'Ekikatuliki n'obeerera ddala nali mbigendereddemu ddala. Naye munaye Katonda yannyamba one time bw'omanya atenda ekizibu nagenda namubalokole. Kati era be banzi ekyali ekizibu kati kye bakola nga bagamba oba bagamba I remember it was January ne bagamba nti no declaring the fast and praying. Kati omanyi w'obeerawo nga ddala you fasting you really in the middle of the night baatuzukusanga tusabe ne mpulira nali nsaba nga bw'osaba in Jesus eddoboozi ne lijja ne liŋŋamba nti nze siri Katonda twice. When namalira byonna ne ntandika okugugolinga who is Jesus, and since then that's it nenzira ku right path and alhamdulillah ngenda njiga platforms like this are really helping. Actually this has been really good. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Yes. Bw'abeera yeeri would you feel comfortable wanga waliwo okuba nti you've been dragged in, you've been pulled? Did you enjoy that time?
Yes, it was because omanyi woba oyine like Katonda kasita owulira ng'oyogera ne Katonda kati it was like I felt like nali nina omuntu gwempooringa my heart to. Okitegera, and it felt comfortable. Okitegera. But then at the same time, omanyi being Muslim, like ngangenda ku mulimu, some of my friends were Muslim, that dispute about obviously Jesus is not God. Katinga chiriao. And when that happened, I realized, oh my God, I rather pour my heart in, muchintu ekituufu. So yeah, that's when I got lost. But
how long did you stay there for?
A year. One long year. Yeah. One long.
I was in church. I was an altar boy, and it was not about getting lost at all. I went to a Catholic school, in which case yali conditioning abatutwala mu church. So again, but then I outperformed until genda mu church. I think 3 times a week. 3 times a week. I started excelling very much. I ended up being an altar boy. father n'atugabirako ko kati ne neebuuza ezisigadde waya zeezibika nga waya zitwalangayo mu kiryo naye twamalanga okuzzaayo ebibbo nga tumaze okuyisa akabbo ak'ebirabo tuleeta wali n'akagaati bamaze okukagaba father n'abaako bwe yatuwangako tuleme kubeera tempted kukwatamu mu kibbo naye whatever happened to the rest of the money Allahu a'lam. But I never felt like my faith was shaken in any way. Naye ndaba nga ningaali on duty to perform something. But having got that far, I think as an altar, but that was too much trust for a Muslim, especially. But they had hopes that at some point I might change. Allah. Yes.
Singa wali mbalokole bandikufubyeko bandikukyusizza abakatuliki bali quite respectable.
Wakati omulokole kasita bijjamu music oyo yabadde nga wanyumira bunyumirwa ndongo naye n'osigala n'odda ku bibyo. I mean, so Sheikh Ntade says, Alhamdulillah for your coming back. May Allah bring back our lost brothers. And may the Almighty always take us back to the truth. Rashida is saying, I wanted my space. So back home, they thought I was lost. Personally, I was enjoying my space. Thank you very much. It's been a very, very fantastic program. If there is anyone who I've not had a chance to speak to, please, this is your program. And these programs are only made up by your stories. These experiences are what constitutes actually the stories that make these programs much more interesting. Very, very much honored to have you back. Inshallah, we are fully back next week on Tuesday, same time, 8 p.m., where we'll come back with another very interesting topic. Do not miss for any reason. We shall be there, inshallah, to hear your stories, to learn from those stories, and to see what to do. Just as I wrap up, remember some do's, things that you must do always. At least try to learn more than one language. The more languages you speak, the more likely you are to survive in an environment. Many of the languages I learned circumstantially. I speak 12 languages. It's not by accident. Lived in Kenya in the 1980s where it was very, very racist. Not that so much has changed, but you realize by speaking Kikamba or Kikuyu or Swahili, that made a huge difference. So I learned the languages, yes, as a young person, but most importantly, that helped me to survive and be able to fit in for you to get lost. 2, have some little money on you. You never know when you need it. It might be the difference between life and death. 3, I think I should re-emphasize it. Have something as a backup. We know are not easy to eat or to digest. If you have your own thing, you can start with that. Then you can embark on something later, but at least when you've had a starting point, which is critical. 3, widen the scope of your diet. Buli lw'olya mmere nga ntono, buli lw'osigala nga weerimitinze naddala ku Baganda, kino nkyakizza Abaganda si busosoze naye mwe restrictinga nnyo in terms of menu. Omuntu ng'amanyidde ettooke na kinyeebwa na kijjanjalo n'ennyama naye nga you are not widening the scope of your menu. The wider the menu, the more you are easy to fit into situations. Bw'otuuka ku muli wa kaamulali genda olye kaamulali. Weekube emyasi naye omanye nti ogenda kuwangaala. Teri kintu kireeta appetite nga kaamulali. Omuganda batono abalya kaamulali. Ojja kutuuka mu Nigeria baabano batandise otuwasaamu okufa obufi. Bawasa bawala baffe. Naawe ogenda okukyala ku buko balyoke bakuleetere kaamulali olyoke omyuka eriiso. Twagendanga mu musajja alumba flats mu bayindi okusoma Qur'ani, batusomesa Qur'ani bamale batuweeyo kasente. Naye ne babasomesa Qur'ani buli muntu juzu muri abantu 30 bo batutte abantu 15 mwenna mulina obuli omu alina okusoma ejjuzu 2 mugenda okumala ozisoma ne balyoka baleeta olusiniya bwebula wakakyere bwekenkana n'ennamba y'abantu ga yarabbi tunakuta naye nga ku nsonda wali waliwo ejjirikani 2 eza liita 2 ez'amazzi kampeko ne baziteeka wali teri alina kyakunyega. Ogenda okukwata ku muceere bw'oti olyayo entongi 2 n'olyoka onywa tampeko zo nga 5 ez'amazzi olwakaamulali obuzito nga tokkuta wabaaki. Survival matters. So you have always, backup, widen scope your diet. You have some money, to hand as you are leaving home. Make sure wear nice underwear that can survive. Yinza okugwa ku kizibu n'ogwa wansi empale eyulise ebikuguddeko ng'olina at least ekiziyiza ekiziyiza ekyo kijje nga kirina bwe kifaanagana oba nga kiri adoptable. Avoid white if you are going on journeys, because again you never know where the journey, how long the journey might be. Oyinza okuza nti ya ssaawa 3 genda okukala ng'efuuse ya nnaku 3. It is really, really, really important. Have that as serious food for thought. I wanted my space. Okay, nze ndya buli kiri halaali sibola ng'ojja kusurvivinga. If you widen the scope of your learn a language, try to remember, pick up some places. One of the animals is single kubera nene memory is a dove. Dove way again and etambula safari zetambula, and it can never miss where it left from. Lwakuba egenda physical features that you store in your memory, just in case you get lost. Those features might become very, very important. Those particular features, mark them. They might become really, really critical. And then, of course, patience and prayer. Because above all, I think that would come. When you struggle, you are lost in faith. From some of the people speaking, you've lost your faith because circumstances have pushed you into that. You loved a Muslim man who disappoints you so much, he makes you almost hate all Muslims. You go. The Prophet ﷺ says al-iman, well, actually it's a Sharia concept which says al-iman yazid wa yanqus. Your faith levels they fluctuate. So they will go high, they will go low. There are moments when you feel so fully religious, so full of faith. You're praying every sunnah, tasbih every time. You have all these moments. But then there are other moments when you are so much on the low, you are struggling even to do your prayers. For everything that happens, just keep faith. Just know there's always a point of return. Do not get yourself to a point of no return. I love you so much. I hope to see you next week, same time, inshallah. It's been very good having you back. Hope to see you again. Program is Come. Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. And we are live on 75W Radio, live on Ummah Connected, on YouTube, Facebook, and on Zoom. And remember, if you miss any of the programs or missed part of this particular program, you can just go back and watch. Just go to YouTube, type in Let's Talk with Kassim Kayira or Ummah Connected, and you'll be able to see the programs. Or just go to Facebook, 75wradio.com, and you'll be able at least to see the programs from the programs that we have been doing, including tonight's program. See you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.